After announcing that I would be attending the University of Duke for the next 4 years, I shocked everybody. I kind of surprised myself. After spraining my MCL, my final game in high school, I had to miss some time. So instead of me being the #1 running back on the depth chart, I was pushed back to #2. So I got to fight my way up to my rightful spot. Now, at the time when I received the news about my MCL, I had no knowledge about any other knee injuries besides like an ACL or things like that. So when I got that news, I was scared. See, in my mind, I thought my career was over or that I just wouldn't be the same player. But in all reality, all I had to do was sit a couple of weeks. I could have actually suited up for the state championship game back in high school. I chose to nurse this injury to the fullest. I said I wouldn't step on the football field until I felt like I was 102%. I even wanted to put on a knee brace for these first couple of games, but the doctor said it was pointless. But me taking my time getting back from a minor injury is what kind of put me in this position I am today, the #2 back on a Duke team where I definitely should be the clear-cut #1. And my decision to choose Duke over every other school that I had scholarships from was questioned by just about everybody, which I understand though. They're not the most prestigious school in the football department. But like I said before I made my college decision, I wanted to go to a school that could serve me well academically, and when it comes to that, they're ranked within the top 10 in the nation. And with Duke already having a successful basketball team, if I could come here and help revamp the football culture, I could be a part of something special, not just join forces with somebody that's already rolling. So while most people might consider my decision a harder route, I see goals to be achieved. I can do everything I want to in the classroom to make my parents proud, and as a team, we can strive for greatness. And one of my personal goals was to waste no time and claim my rightful place as the #1 running back on this team, and I did that just after the first game. In high school, my lack of speed was noticeable, but here in college, I'm just straight up exposed. These guys are blazing fast, but I've worked on my acceleration, so it kind of helps aid it somewhat. Now, it's going to take a while for me to develop that true breakaway speed, especially with me being at 240 pounds, but my main focus has been to stay consistent with my running after the handoff and after the catch. So while I won't be the fastest guy on the field, I will be the most consistent, keeping my speed and momentum in and out of cuts, hitting the hole, whatever. I want to be a moving freight train at all times. Here at Duke, we run more of a spread offense, so I'm being used in the passing game more than I could ever imagine. And if I can recall correctly, in high school, I probably caught 1 touchdown pass, if that. Don't get me wrong, I know what I signed up for when I committed here, but my first collegiate touchdown comes from a pitch during the option run. That is crazy. Which is crazy for me at least, because I'm considered a power back, which I would agree with because all I really know is get downhill and run through anybody's face who gets in front of me. And when I say run through somebody's face, this is exactly what I mean. I could have tried to put a move on this DB, but I knew he didn't stand a chance. I obliterate him and fall just 1 yard short of the touchdown. And on this very next play in short distance, I can't believe how wide open I am. Let me find out this Memphis defense is avoiding me right now. We're supposed to just be running out the clock, but I see opportunity to score my 3rd touchdown of the game on a Memphis defense that I've mentally and physically destroyed. I did my thing in the air and on the ground, and I was announced player of the game, and we sent Memphis back to the locker room hanging their heads low. Face to face, man to man, mano y mano with any defensive player in college football, I feel like I can win that matchup, but making plays in space is a little more difficult. Getting the pitch to the wide side of the field with an unbelievable amount of open space, blockers ahead, and I still couldn't get into the end zone. I need to start running track or something. I'm really starting to fall in love with the way I'm utilizing this offense. I'm exploring and using every tool that I didn't even know I had in my bag. And I'll need somebody to send out a memo to every team in the country. If your safety's going to have to come down and make the tackles on me, make sure he's drinking his milk, getting his bones strong, I'm going to break him. Before I came here to Duke, I was somewhat worried about the offensive line. Last season, they were ranked amongst some of the worst, but now that's completely changed since the season has started. Picking up some through the transfer portal, and some guys just developing and getting better over time with the new mentality and swag I brought to the team. Now, my vision could definitely use some work. I missed a wide open hole on the backside of my tight end, and even though I picked up 12 yards on the first down, I could have picked up a lot more. How about this for a welcome to college football moment? A DB, not a linebacker, put his shoulder in my chest so hard I did a complete backflip and I received my first ever career fumble. After that game against Memphis, I thought I could intimidate and physically dominate any player, any team in the country, but they just showed me it ain't that sweet. Every game, every team is different. These boys hitting. It was a showdown, but we win a close one at home against Georgia Tech. We advanced to 3-0 to remain undefeated. I've been putting in work during the season to develop my speed, and I'm starting to see some in-game changes on a week-to-week basis, so it's been pretty beneficial. Now, even though they're 1-1, Pitt is definitely one of our biggest challenges so far throughout these first 4 games, another conference game against one of the better teams in the ACC. And these are the type of games that could define or even make or break our season when we play against higher tier opponents. And the way I see it, we're more than capable on both sides of the ball to be able to hang with some of the better teams, not only in the conference, but in the country. But by the third quarter, Pitt showed us exactly why we might not be ready just yet to hang with some of the better teams in the country, because we're down 24-0. But me, I refuse to go scoreless in any game that I ever play in. I'm not much of a vocal guy, but when we hit that huddle, I let them know this will not be a part of our team's DNA. We got to step it up. And for the first time in this game, we're starting to put together a complete drive. And if I got to get it done myself, running the ball and catching it, so be it. And leave it to my OC and my quarterback to try to go for the big play instead of giving what the defense gives us. And it would cost us the drive that I put together. But to everyone's surprise, defense would take the ball away, giving us some great field position. And I would make an easy catch for our first touchdown of the game. But I have to say, as a team, we're showing some resilience. Defense went and got another stop, and that big play that our offense loves to make so much, we actually cash in on it. Surprisingly, lately, I've been watching a lot of tape on smaller NFL and college running backs. What I'm trying to understand is, how do smaller backs make their impact on the game, even though they're not as physically inclined as others? Now, the go-to answers would be the speed or acceleration, but even aside from that, what goes unnoticed or untalked about that really separates these smaller players? Now, in my opinion, one of the more overlooked traits for a good runner is patience, and one of the best I've seen within the recent years was Le'Veon Bell in his prime. And to take a slight step outside the topic at hand, being able to catch the ball out of the backfield has become a staple for any running back if you want success at any level of football these days. In my opinion, patience, balance, and vision in terms of being a runner are three of the more crucial elements to being a dynamic back. And speaking of patience, even a quarterback has to have some, especially when you've got 300-pound linemen running straight at your face during these screen plays. And I know I harp on the fact that my vision isn't the greatest, but when you have an above average offensive line like I do, you don't got to do too much looking or seeking. Even though by the end of the game we were down to our third string quarterback, we secured a 10-point win over Troy. 3 total touchdowns on the day, getting it done both ways. I think it's safe to say, even though it's early in the season, I'm pretty much a dual threat at this point. This is easily one of the best starts to a season in terms of football that I think this school's ever experienced in their history. Now, I don't want to pat myself on the back or give myself too much credit, but what I've been able to contribute to this team has been a big reason why we've had success on the field. Now, let's be clear. I'm not top 10, nor am I top 20 in rushing yards in the country, but what I bring to the game as a rusher and a catcher of the football, I'm top tier. And on top of all of that, with this only being the first half of the season, I have so much more time to develop my stats and improve all of my numbers across the board. And honestly, I take extreme pride in being a dynamic dual threat back, even though everyone had wrote me off as being a one-dimensional big body. And as time goes on and I develop more speed and even better agility, maybe even shed a few pounds to get back down to a solid 235, maybe 230, I'm gonna be a unicorn. And the more we develop as a team, being more dominant on both sides of the ball, Duke University won't only be known for what they've done academically or what they produced in the basketball court. We'll be a football powerhouse. We're in a straight up battle against an 0-4 Navy team that's looking to go into overtime if we don't lock in and make our way up the field to get into the end zone. And when we need it the most, the beautiful connection between Jordan Moore and Jalen Calhoun comes up big with the game-winning touchdown. So far, the front half of our season has been a success, but the real question is, can we finish it that way? And I'm ready to put in the work to produce the answer.